Discord on the computer. So for everybody who's here, we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 6, the continuation of what we started last week. And so let me go ahead and share our screen here. Share screen. Where's the Proverbs? There it is. Share.
17. Proverbs.
There we go. Okay, so the video is going to start, then I'm going to stop real quick.
Yeah, I just forgot to bring glasses.
Out to trick the computer into helping Marge and Arlen see the full screen, we think, if it'll start. Can y'all see that?
Yes. Balvin is so it's little to read.
Okay. So let me do this. You can see that? Is that full page?
No, it's not.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. It's not my thing to do with it. So, at least today. Proverbs chapter 6, verse.
That's not it.
Okay. Says, my child, if you have given your pledge to your neighbor, if you have bound yourself to another, you are snared by the utterance of your lips, caught by the words of your mouth. So do this, my child, and save yourself, for you have come into your neighbor's power. Go, hurry, and plead with your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep and your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, you lazy bones. That sounds like Solomon, doesn't it? Go to the end. Well, it sounds more like Jedediah. Yeah. He lays bones. Consider its ways and be wise without having any chief or officer or ruler. Of course, now we know that's not the case. They had a queen, right? So just tells you where their thinking is at this point. So it prepares its food in summer and gathers its sustenance in the harvest. Now I'll say verses 1-5 says if you have given a pledge to your neighbor, if you bound yourself to another, it has to do with helping out a neighbor being used by the neighbor is what that's being talked about. So find a way out of it. And then verse 9, how long will you lie there, O lazy bones? There's Jedediah speaking again. When you rise from your sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed warrior. A scoundrel and a villain goes around with crooked speech. All this is talking about idleness here. Winking the eyes, shuffling the feet, pointing the fingers with perverted mind, devising evil. Continually sowing discord. On such a one, calamity will descend suddenly. In a moment, damage beyond repair. So yeah, all this has to do with idleness. Now, as we get back in, as we start verse 16, we're getting into something called self-centeredness. Okay, placing yourself above everything else, and of course, we know that to be the word pride. So. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are an abomination to him. So this lists 7 things coming up, but the 6 lead to the 7th is what this means, okay? So verse 17, haughty eyes, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that hurry to run to evil, a lying witness who testifies falsely, leads to the one who sows discord in the family. Yeah. My child, keep your father's commandment and do not forsake your mother's teaching. Bind them upon your heart always, tie them around your neck. When you walk, they will lead you. When you lie down, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. Any of this sound familiar? This is like Solomon's version of the 10 Commandments, what we call the Decalogue. I just wrote Decalogue and keep it simple. So, but yeah, it sounds like the 10 Commandments.
So did I didn't start counting. What
Would
was
you go get my glasses for me?
Haughty eyes,
Please.
a lying tongue, hands that shed
Wish my
innocent,
half glasses are
a
fine.
heart that devises wicked plans, feet that hurry to run to evil, and a lying witness who testifies falsely. And the way this is worded, the NRSV doesn't really word it very well, but all that leads to sowing discord within the family. That's the 7th thing. So, were you saying something, Marge?
What's her glasses?
Yeah. I can't see without them.
Oh, okay.
That was an order for me.
We're gonna go on to verse 24. To preserve you from the wife of another. Yeah, we're back. Solomon loves this analogy for some reason. From the smooth tongue of the adulteress, do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For a prostitute's fee is only a loaf of bread, but the wife of another stalks a man's precious life. Can fire be carried in the bosom without burning one's clothes, or can one walk on hot coals without scorching the feet? So is he who sleeps with his neighbor's wife. Now, this is funny because I say funny, it's not funny, but it's not funny, haha. Okay. Jesus talks specifically about this in some of his parables about the evils of sleeping with your neighbor's wife or sleeping with your father's, your stepmother. Jesus does in Matthew 23 through 25. Yeah. Talks about the evils of sleeping with your stepmother. So anyway. So is he who sleeps with his neighbor's wife. No one who touches her will go unpunished. Thieves are not despised who steal only to satisfy their appetite when they are hungry. Yet if they are caught, they will pay sevenfold. They will forfeit all the goods of their house. But he who commits adultery has no sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy arouses a husband's fury, and he will show no restraint when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation and will receive a bribe no matter how, and will refuse a bribe no matter how great. So this is probably talking a little bit about Solomon remembering his dad telling him about how it kind of came to be, how his relationship with his mom and dad were, and how his older sibling died just after birth, the adultery of David with Bathsheba. So,
Do you really think David would have told Solomon this?
well, Solomon is wise. Remember, God granted him wisdom. If David didn't tell him this,
There were rumors.
they're right. They're right. Somehow they would. There were a lot of people who knew.
Well, there's also the School of Hard Knocks and Rhodes Scholars and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, David, in trying to dispel wisdom before he died, trying to dispel some wisdom to Solomon, he said, "Look, don't go after other men's wives.
Yeah.
Trust me. It turned out good in some cases, but most cases, no. It turned out good for you, but not for Uriah." Well, yes, it was culturally acceptable. However, what gets Solomon in trouble is he's not marrying for love or for progeny, which
He's marrying the
he's
political.
marrying for political gain. Mhm. So,
For the wrong reasons.
correct.
There's no doubt he's gonna get some lessons from it.
So, Proverbs 7. Oh, can you imagine, when we, depending on how you believe, but when we get to eternity and we get to ask David, we know what happened. So, you got billions of people showing up, all asking David, what happened, guy? David ain't getting away from, well, right.
You can't.
We're not gonna be, we're not gonna be asking questions. We're not gonna need to ask questions. It's not that we
We're
won't.
not gonna be casting stones
Correct.
because we've got our own sins.
Correct. There will be no sin at that point.
But there will be some tests.
No, we'll be praying, our sole purpose will be to worship God. That'll be our sole purpose. So on Proverbs 7, my child, keep my words and store up my commandments with you. Keep my commandments and live. Keep my teachings as the apple of your eye. Have we heard that before? Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, there's that word Sophia, you are my sister, and call insight your intimate friend. So why this phrase apple of your eye? I know we use it today to mean something beautiful. Um,
The closer look of the Lord.
well,
Why do we call it the apple of?
right. Mhm. Some scholars believe this may be the how some people have interpreted the forbidden fruit to be the apple, something beautiful. It's something to be desired. Of course, in Genesis, the fruit was the evil fruit, or the fruit not to be touched was of the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Well, that to me would be keep my teachings as the most desired thing, because the apple was desired.
Well, yeah, in this case, it's something to be desired. And it anthropomorphizes wisdom by making wisdom human, or giving it human attributes, beauty, sister. Correct. Yeah, calling wisdom intimate.
But he still in the next verses, he still ties it to.
Yes, yeah, he can't stay away from them. That they may keep you from the loose one. From the adulteress with her smooth words. Remember that word smooth is the same as David's, the 5 stones David drew for the rock.
Women are getting craftier.
Well, yes, they are.
It does say the man should not take another woman's wife.
Right.
There is.
Yeah, but it's like the woman that's willing.
It's the woman creating the problem. She is the seductress, not him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a loose woman.
Yeah. It's the woman's fault. That.
The Bible is interesting. It's either blame it all on Eve, or the Virgin Mary is sinless.
Mhm.
You've got these two views of women in the Bible.
Well, we have this concept that it's all Eve's fault, but really, it's very clear that it was not Eve eating the fruit that was the cause. It was the disobedience. And it was not specifically Eve's disobedience, it was Adam's disobedience. It was Adam's fault that they're in this. You let this happen.
Cherchez la femme, as the French say. Look for the woman.
Verse 6. For at the window of my house, I looked out through my lattice, and I saw among the simple ones that don't have their learning disabilities, or those who don't have much. I observed among the youths a young man without sense, passing along the street near her corner, taking the road to her house. He's relating a little story, like his version of a proverb. There's my daughter. Hang on just a second. Hey. You're still at the house, right? Okay. By my orange chair is I left my charging cable to my computer. Can you bring that? Okay, thank you. Right. Okay, so she shouldn't call you. Taking the road to her house. This is the house of the woman that we read earlier. In the twilight, in the evening, at the time of night and darkness, then a woman comes toward him, decked out like a prostitute, with hidden intent. It doesn't sound hidden, as we'll find out. She is loud and wayward. Her feet do not stay at home. Now in the street, now in the squares, and at every corner, she lies in wait. She seizes him and kisses him, and with impudent face, she says to him, I had to offer sacrifices, and today I have paid my vows. So now I have come out to meet you, to seek you eagerly, and I have found you. I have decked my couch with coverings, colored spreads of Egyptian linen. I have perfumed my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until morning. Let us delight ourselves with love. For my husband is not at home. He has gone on a long journey. He took a bag of money with him. He will not come home until full moon. With much seductive speech, she persuades him. With her smooth talk, she compels him. Now, there are several words for love. In verse 18, we still tell you, well, let us take our fill of love until morning. There are several words for love in the Bible. Of course, we've got Hebrew words, we've got Greek words. Greek has like about 4 different words for it. But in the Hebrew, we know of 2 words, and this is the second. The first one is hesed, which is the love of God. Okay. The second one is dode. And its foundational meaning means to boil. So this is like lustful. This is lust. So that's what it is implying here. With that smooth talk, she compels him. Yeah, this is even though it is present, it's mainly faulting the woman here. There is a little fault of the man because it's creating a circumstance where there's no before it was, if you before, what we read before all this had to do with the husband of the wife who was cheating taking revenge. Now the husband ain't gonna even know, and so it falls on the onus of this simple person, someone being taken advantage, who can get away with anything. Right away, he follows her and goes like an ox to the slaughter, bounds like a stag toward the trap until an arrow pierces its entrails. He is like a bird rushing into a snare, not knowing that it will cost him his life. And now, my children, listen to me and be attentive to the words of my mouth. Do not let your hearts turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. For many are those she has laid low, and numerous are her victims. Her house is the way to Sheol, going down to the chambers of death. In verse 26 and verse 26 specifically, it's military in tone. The phrasing there is like a leader leading people into their own deaths during battle. Is what it can literally mean.
So why is his following this prostitute leading to his death?
Because he'll be dead in his heart. This is in contrast to wisdom. Wisdom will lead you in the right path. Not having wisdom will lead you to the dark. That's what this is getting at. Proverbs chapter 8, verse 1. Does not wisdom call and understanding raise her voice? On the heights, beside the way, at the crossroads, she takes her stand. Beside the gates in front of the town and at the entrance of the portals, she cries out, to you, O people, I call, and my cry is to all who live. O simple ones, learn prudence, acquire intelligence, you who lack it. Hear, for I will speak noble things, and from my lips will come what is right, for my mouth will utter truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are righteous. There is nothing twisted or crooked in them. They are all straight to one who understands, and right to those who find knowledge. Take my instruction instead of silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than jewels, and all that you may desire cannot compare with her. I, wisdom, live with prudence, and I attain knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance in the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. By the way, that fear of the Lord, I told you, we're going to hear the fear of the Lord a lot in Proverbs. I have good advice and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. But by me, kings reign and rulers decree what is just. By me, rulers rule and nobles, all who govern rightly. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold, and my yield than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, along the paths of justice, endowing with wealth those who love me and filling their treasuries. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work.
And this is all wisdom speaking.
This is wisdom speaking. The Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of long ago. That verse right there, the Lord created me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts long ago. That word created is ganah. which means possess or acquire. It's a slightly different phrasing than the creation of the world. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Ages ago, I was set up at first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped. Before the hills, I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields of this world's first bits of soil. Now, this particular phrasing, this created some conflict in the 3rd century AD. This guy named Arius of Alexandria, very smart man, but he interpreted it one particular way, and it created problems and still creates problems now with some denominationalism. This idea that wisdom here is equated with Jesus. And if that's the case, then that word created, the reason I bring it up, means that Jesus was created. Well, most Christians, Jesus is equated with God. Jesus wasn't created, Jesus was. And so it brings about a very big controversy among some Christians about Jesus being a created being versus being God Almighty.
I think it's in the book of Allah.
Possibly. I can't speak, I mean, I've read. Yeah,
When you say that, because they use it.
I've read the Quran,
Well,
and yeah, I can't remember anything specific as far as what about that anyway. But that's the reason I wanted to bring up that word created. That it's not creation, it's not a word for bringing something out of nothing. It is possessed or acquired. It's gotten after it, and it has created some controversy, especially with this guy Arius of Alexandria.
If they believe Jesus is created, does that mean there's a God and Jesus?
Well,
Two entities?
yes, and there are some denominations, there are some faith traditions out there that do believe that Jesus was strictly another prophet, if you will. That, of course, that's what Islam says, but that Jesus is not equated with creator God.
Even Christians like to come up with a lot of problems.
Yeah, we love problems. We love creating problems. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Before the mountains, this is verse 25. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills, I was brought forth. When he had not yet made earth and fields, or the world's first bits of soil. Then I was beside him like a master worker, and I was daily his delight, playing before him always, playing in his inhabited world and delighting in the human race. And you see how, if we equate wisdom with Jesus, that this would create an issue here. So, and now we're.
Yeah,
Did I?
yes, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because I got lost there.
Yeah.
Out of 27, 28, and 28.
Oh, you're right. Somebody read those. I didn't put them on here. I must have missed something.
Circle on the face of the deep. We made from the skies above, we established the fountains of the deep. And he assigned to the seas their son. So that the world might not try against his human.
Where are you? I'm still.
He was reading 27.
Okay.
Assigned to the seas. Might not transgress his command. We marked out the foundation of the earth. 30, when I was beside him like a master worker. And
Yeah, I've got.
For the moment.
Yeah, I'm at 30, so I've got 30. So, yeah, sorry. I copy and paste the scripture on here. So, and then I go back and put notes and things. So, so yeah, I do make mistakes. Sorry.
That's quite all right.
Okay. So, verse 30. Then I was beside him like a master worker, and it was daily his delight, playing before him always, playing in his inhabited world and delighting in the human race. And now we're back to are we still? Yeah, Solomon is speaking now, so or has been. And now, my children, listen to me. Happy are those who keep my ways, hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. neglected. So basically what he's saying is seek wisdom intentionally. Verse 34, happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily, and now this is wisdom again. Happy is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. Whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But those who miss me injure themselves. All who hate me love death. So, okay. So that is the end of wisdom speaking there. And now we get back into Solomon speaking. So in Proverbs chapter 9. Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. Some have taken those pillars to, we theologize that kind of stuff. In the text, it means seven pillars. 7 support beams. So she has slaughtered her animals. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her female servants. She calls from the highest places in the town. You who are simple, now here's her speaking again, turn in here. To those without sense, she says, come, eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed. Lay aside immaturity and live and walk in the ways of insight. This is not an Old Testament allusion to communion. It's just wisdom inviting people to commune with her, but it has nothing to do with Jesus, the Last Supper. Oh, just pointing that out. Some of it's poetry, some of it's his wisdom. It's anyway. Whoever corrects a scoffer wins abuse, and whoever rebukes the wicked gets hurt. See, now we're getting into these platitudes.
You didn't make it.
Right. Do not rebuke a scoffer, lest he hate you. Rebuke the wise, and he will love you. Verse 9, give instruction to the wise, and they will become wiser still. Teach the righteous, and they will gain in learning. 10, the fear of the Lord, there's that phrase again, is the beginning of wisdom. Remember, that's how the book started. Okay. And the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. Now, this phrase is very interesting. The phrase Holy One is plural in the Hebrew. Even though it says Holy One, but the phrase itself is plural. Take it as you will. I'm just pointing these little facts out. Verse 11, for by me your days will be multiplied and years will be added to your life. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. The foolish woman is loud. You hate when those things start like that. She is ignorant and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house on a seat at the high places of the town, calling to those who pass by, who are going straight on their way. You are simple, turn in here. And to those without sense, she says, stolen water is sweet and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But they do not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Now, I will also say that verses 13 through 16 are almost a direct take from what we read about the woman in the night earlier. Almost a direct.
The simple man.
Correct. Chapter 10. I didn't miss any verses 9, did I? Okay. The Proverbs of Solomon. A wise child makes a glad father, but a foolish child is a mother's grief. Why does the father get to be glad and the mother get to be, right? No. Treasures gained by wickedness do not profit. Righteousness delivers from death. The Lord does not let the righteous go hungry, but he thwarts the craving of the wicked. A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. A child who gathers in summer is prudent, but a child who sleeps in harvest brings shame. Blessings are on the head of the righteous, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. The memory of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. The wise of heart will heed commandments, but one with foolish lips will come to ruin. Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but whoever follows perverse ways will be found out. Yeah, yeah. Rule number two, rule number one, she always knows. Rule number two, if there's ever a question about it, refer to rule number one. So one thing's going on. Whoever winks the eye causes trouble, but one who rebukes boldly makes peace. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all offenses. On the lips of one who is understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of one who lacks sense. The wise lay up knowledge, but the mouth of a fool brings ruin near. The wealth of the rich is their fortress, the poverty of the poor is their ruin. The wage of the righteous leads to life, the gain of the wicked to sin. Whoever heeds instruction is on the path to life, but one who rejects a rebuke goes astray. Lying lips conceal hatred, and whoever utters slander is a fool. When words are many, transgression is not lacking, but the prudent are restrained in speech. That goes back to that saying that has often been attributed to Abraham Lincoln, although we really don't know who started it. But it is better to be thought of as a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Yeah, I think some people have attributed it. The tongue of the righteous is choice silver. The mind of the wicked is of little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for lack of sense. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and toil adds nothing to it. Doing wrong is like sport to a fool, but wise conduct is pleasure to a person of understanding. What the wicked dread will come upon them, but the desire of the righteous will be granted. When the tempest passes, the wicked are no more, but the righteous are established forever. Like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to their eyes, so are the lazy to their employers. I will say verse 26, I put a note on here. It says basically they're constant irritation. So the fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be short. The hope of now that kind of speaks in Acts. We get this story of John and I think it's Peter and John being thrown into prison, and Gamaliel, who's one of the Pharisee leaders, who actually, according to Paul, was Paul's teacher. But Gamaliel, they throw John and Peter into prison because they won't stop preaching the gospel. We told you to stop it and you keep doing it, so we're throwing you in here again. And so they have this meeting of all the leaders, all the religious leaders, and what are we going to do with these guys? You can't kill them. You saw what happened last time. Okay. Anyway, Gamaliel, in his wisdom, spoke to the whole council, and he tells them, look, if they are really from God, there's nothing we can do to stop their message. But if they're not, this is just going to die out. We just need to let them go. Well, they let them go, and you say how Christianity.
Now, do we know for sure that
Gamaliel.
Gamaliel said that?
We know it in scripture.
Do we have? Okay.
Yeah, do we have, it's in the book of
Okay,
Acts.
that's why.
Is it in any other book? Not that I know.
You know, that was.
I think there's a tape of it. I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's
English.
the hope of the righteous ends in gladness, but the expectation of the wicked comes to nothing. The way of the Lord is a stronghold for the upright, but destruction for evildoers. The righteous will never totter, but the wicked will not remain on the
Except they are.
earth. There we go. Okay. The mouth of the righteous brings forth wisdom. First tongue will be cut off. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked, what is perverse. Okay. So that ends chapter 10. Next time we get into Proverbs, we're going to be doing some more general maxims. We're going to be doing this for a while. Well, when we get back into it. The reason I say when we get back into it is, next week, I don't know why he did this, but I brought up to y'all this idea of going into an admin kind of lesson, with this guy named John Dominic Crossan. I've signed up for it and all that, but the webinars are on Monday. And I'm going, that don't make much sense if you plan on using it for a Sunday school lesson. You know, I think that's what it was originally intended for, but he's doing, the first one's tomorrow. Well, I can't do it on the first Sunday of Advent if the first Sunday of Advent stuff is on Monday. So we're gonna be a week behind. That means that when we get to week 4, that's probably gonna push to after the first of the year. I'm gonna watch this thing tomorrow, and I don't know how long it'll be. But if it is really, really, really good, and it usually is, I will bring it in next week. I'll have to truncate it down. I'll have to pick some spots to look at because I have a feeling it'll be an hour. We don't have that kind of time here, but I'll get the major points. And but if it's not very interesting, we'll continue on the program. Okay. So any questions? Marge, Marlon, are y'all still there? Yeah, they're still there.
Just barely.
Okay.
There we are.
Okay, well, we're ending for right now. Good to see you, Marge.
We'll see you
Thank
in
you.
church.
Okay, well, we'll be here.
We'll see you in church through here.
Okay, bye-bye.
So they-